Welcome, witches, to the Radiance Unleashed and Unapologetic podcast, your permission slip to embody your primal, raw, unapologetic nature around who you are as an empress, queen, a witch, and a medicine woman creatrix. My name is Saber. I am an esoteric global business mentor supporting women all around the world to align with their cyclical nature and how they're doing, being, and receiving in life and legacy. If you love what you receive in these transmissions in this show, please make sure to follow and leave a review. Make sure you share with a fellow witch and a sister. I am so honored that you're here to receive, enjoy, and blessings on your journey.
Put me on the altar 'cause you can't be tamed. Silence underneath your flame. Cut the cords around me as I speak your name. It's never gonna be the same. Even though I loved you, it was all in vain. And now I gotta break away. Put me in the water, tell me I'm renamed. Higher self reclaimed.
Hello, beautiful souls. Oh my gosh. It is so good to be here today. I have a very special guest on today, and I really feel that it's so timely that I got to connect with this woman. Her name is Sarah. She lives in the UK, and she's actually looking at potentially very last minute joining us at our reclamation coronation ceremony for women who are anchoring in their vision, really stepping into their power and reclaiming their throne. And I had a conversation with her because every once in a while, I see a lot of women who follow me, they watch my journey, they watch my story, and I am just so deeply on a mission to help as many women as possible truly own their throne. These castle coronation ceremonies that we're doing in Europe are and the UK are not just for the sake of wearing a pretty crown and dancing in beautiful red dresses, right? Like it's really a rite of passage and initiation for a woman to really fully own her voice, own her wealth, and own her power. So every once in a while, I'll look at people who follow, my stories or commenting on my posts or whatever, what have you. And I just listen to spirit and I just check in and I drop in and I love connecting with the women who are really following for a reason. And so I reached out to Sarah just last week, actually, and I just threw it out to her. I was like, hey, I noticed that you've been in my world lately, and I'm wondering if you are also curious about partnering with this beautiful shared income model and expanding your generational wealth and sisterhood and collaboration, if not all good. And she sent me this beautiful voice message back that I could just feel like, when you just know when something's in energetic alignment. She said, particularly, I know that it's my time to shine. And she was talking about the empire that she's building with her partner. They're at the infancy stages of really having these dreams of creating an eco village for their own family, living off the land. And it just rang so true in my heart to just connect with her. And when we connected, she shared with me a part of her story that I thought, wow, how how divine timing that it was that this woman, not very long ago, actually, has really transformed her life and really went through her own great awakening after being diagnosed with many diagnoses in the falsehood of the medical system, was on loads of medication, actually really transformed her own consciousness and her own spirit and her path with microdosing from psilocybin mushrooms. And I thought that this was so beautiful and in alignment because this is a medicine that's so near and dear to my heart. and it's absolutely transformed my life. And I have there's a big spot in my heart that just wants to fight for awareness for alternative solutions and ways for women and people in general of all ages and genders, races, and cultures to know that these diagnoses are actually your power. And I truly believe that we get diagnosed with these certain labels and then prescribe these medications to keep those gifts small and hidden and tucked away. And she just has a beautiful story that I'm really excited to unpack. So, without further ado, thank you so much, Sarah, for being available today and being open to share your light.
Thank you for having me, Saber. I'm absolutely honored to be here today, honestly, to share my story with, like-minded people. So,
Yeah,
yes, it's really great to be here. Thank you for having me.
absolutely. So this is 100% your time to shine. And I know that we'll put in the show notes, your links to your social medias or anything afterwards. But in general, for the women listening to this episode, what would you like them to know about the background of your story before we dive into it? And you can just kind of riff off that, share your background of your story, where you came from.
Yeah.
Just take us on the journey of how you even had psilocybin mushrooms come into your life.
Yeah. Well, I'll just start at the beginning. Um, and then we could probably go from there. You can ask me some more questions or whatever you need to know, I'll share with you. But for me, the beginning was just before COVID. Um, and I had come off a lot of my medication. Because I had been on pharmaceutical drugs, oh gosh, for years. Yeah, for many, many years. And it got worse. It got to a point where I wasn't doing well in my last relationship. I was working, I had the children, and everything just got too much. And I was working for the NHS, and they were trying to give me as much help as they could. Um, but the medication just wasn't working for me. It was making me feel poorly. Some of the medication that I was given, I couldn't look after my children. Um, for me, after I had a breakdown and everything crumbled, I literally had to start rebuilding. And 2 years after I had the breakup and split up with my partner, I met and was also on medication. And I was still working at the surgery. And he said to me, I've got to get off this because he had missed a couple of days. And when I seen him trying to get off the medication, I was like, oh my goodness, he was hallucinating and all sorts. Anyways, he got offered, and I was like, oh God, now I need to come off of this. But I was on a lot more medication than I was.
Mm.
But I stuck by it, and I still carried on muddling through. But it was hard. It was so hard, Saber, because I was still in that looping cycle of fight and flight. I was still drinking, I was still taking drugs, and you know, I wasn't in a good headspace. So even coming off the medication, I still had bad cycles and bad patterns that still needed work. Um, Anyways, we relocated and we landed up coming to Hartlepool just before COVID hit. And then COVID hit, and we had time to, invest in ourselves and do the internal healing. Still really struggling, still on the borderline, like, do I go back on my medication? Don't I go back on my medication? It's the only thing that, like, I think helped, but I was feeling awful. Um, so what I did was I didn't go back on the medication. And I firmly believe that everything happens for a reason because, as I said to you previously, I moved up here and I met a family member that I hadn't met before. Who's a lovely man. He's my mum's cousin, and he's been wide awake and spiritual for a very long time. So he's always given me these different perspectives, and told me about ego, and I never knew nothing about ego. And I was like, what is this man talking about?
Oh,
Anyway, so we built up a relationship with Rod, and got on really well with him. And one day he came to visit us, and he was actually studying to be a counselor for the NHS. So I trust his judgment a lot. Um, and he brought me a box of mushrooms. And he said, try these. And I had no idea what to do with them. I had never done mushrooms before. But I thought, I was at the point where, you know, I I didn't know what else to try, and I didn't want to go back on the medicine. So I thought, okay, fine, I'll try and go down this holistic route, and I'll try something different. Um, so I started microdosing with the mushrooms. Firstly, I was having just only like three little mushrooms in a cup of tea, or a cup of soup or whatever, and I was drinking it like 3 days on, 2 days off. 3 days on, 2 days off. And slowly, as I was progressing, I was finding that like I just came online. Like, honestly, I came online and I was like, oh my goodness, what is this vibration I can feel in my body? At the time, I didn't know it was a vibration, but the immense love that came flooding in, uh, just randomly, like I was never this person. And these walls came falling down, and I was like, this at the time, I didn't realize that it was working. I honestly had no idea. But when I look back now, there are points that I can, you know, actually quite specifically go back to, and I can say that's when it came on. That's when when it happened. Um, and it just happened, and all this love came flooding in, and all these, it was very overwhelming, I have to say. I'm so glad I had it with me, because it was like, whoa, hold up, like, it's gonna be okay, it's gonna be all right. And because I had him there to ground me, um I feel like I got through it. So it's not something that you need to take lightly. It's not. I get, doing mushrooms is a very it's a very it's an internal thing. um I remember once I did, because I was microdosing, and it was, to me, in my mind, when I look back now, it was working. It was 100% working. But when I look back now, I was thinking, it's not working, it's not working, it's not working quick enough for me. I need this to work. So I did a larger dose. And it's not something that I think people, when they do things like that, they think it's a visual thing. But for me, it was really about getting better, not just for me, but for my children. So one day we had just moved to this house, I think, and I took the last of what I had, which was a larger dose. And I went and I climbed in under my covers, and I was like, I'm going inside. I need to sort this out properly for the last time. And I remember going in, and it was dark, and it smelled damp, and it was just an awful place to be. And I know, like, it was just hell, if that makes sense. And when I came round again, I was like, that's it. I am never, ever going back there again. And from that day forward, I can honestly say that I've been the one in charge, nobody else. Um, so I did that. And yeah, and then gradually just started making better choices and better decisions. I mean, like I say, I'd come online, I was working differently. And it's not like it was an easy process, because it was a hard process. I think people think that, well, I guess I was kind of spiritual then. I guess people think, being spiritual is all love and light. But damn, it was hard. I was like slaying demons in the depths of my soul to be here. But it was the best choice I ever made, the best choice I ever made for me, for myself. And I have been open and honest with my family. My family knows how I've got to this point. Um, and even my children, like, they cannot believe how much mum has changed. And to me, that was my everything, because, oh, I had been a nightmare for so long. And for my children to notice that mum had changed so much, it meant everything to me. And I knew I had done the right thing. So yeah. So
Wow.
yes, it was amazing. Yeah. I mean, because I came off, like I said to you, I come off a lot of medication. I was on like 9 different tablets a day. I mean, I was diagnosed with severe anxiety and depression. I had agoraphobia. I had panic disorder, PTSD, and obviously harmful use of alcohol and drugs. So, I'm conquering a lot. I've done a lot of inner work, and now is the time to move forwards. I've done my healing. Well, we were never fully healed. None of us are. But, I've done a lot of internal healing and, I just need to push forward and I need to shine now. And I want to share the story with as many people as I can because it's so important for people to know that we are like the mushrooms and we are all connected. And this doing the mushrooms is like opens up your consciousness. It's like it's mind blowing. Like honestly, before I did it, I was a sleeping sheep, a very sleeping sheep. But when you do the mushrooms, it's like, oh my gosh, it's just lifted and you can see clearly what is in front of you. It is amazing medicine, honestly. I mean, if you can take the step and go forward and work with the mushrooms, it will change your life forever.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I have so many chills and so
Um,
many reflections on what you shared because I relate to this so much. Like,
mhm.
there's a lot that I want to unpack. I'm taking notes actually because I want to really get, like all the pieces of this because I take this particular conversation really seriously, like anyone that listens to this, I don't want them to think, "Oh, I'm just going to eat mushrooms at like the bar that
No,
it's
no, no. Yeah,
called."
no. You need to be sensible.
Yeah, and it's
Yeah.
like for some people they think this, and when we think of people who I mean, we could call them a sleeping sheep, but it's like we don't even know and what we don't know until we know, right? We've been
Mhm. Yeah.
taught in this societal structure. I grew up in my teenage years in foster care and I watched my mom struggle with addiction and it was like the cycle repeating of, oh,
Mhm.
you're diagnosed with this. Oh, you on medications like this.
Mhm.
Oh, you're a free spirit. Oh, let's put you in the cage of the job
Mhm.
system and you got to go to school and get a degree. And
Yeah.
I chose to really remove myself from that path. However, I did have my moments. Like for me, when I first got introduced to mushrooms, I
Mhm.
actually did it with amphetamines when I was
Mhm.
14 years old. I know. I know. So
Mhm.
when I share it with people, I'm really mindful about like where people are at in the
Mhm.
journey.
Yeah.
I was young. Ran away from foster care. I was hanging out with a
Mhm.
bunch of other runaway kids. Like we were doing
Mhm.
all these drugs and things. My mom was
Yeah.
on substances. It was a very dark place.
Mhm.
I had a quote unquote bad trip. I'm saying
Yeah.
quote unquote because I don't believe that there is any such thing as a good or bad trip. However, if you're not held in an environment or able to hold yourself,
Mhm.
people don't even know what that means to be held, then it's
Mhm.
not the time or place
No,
to take them, And I did back
absolutely.
then. And I was so afraid of
Mhm.
psychedelics actually coming into my adulthood when I started going into festivals. And, I had this big fear that if I did psychedelics like LSD or mushrooms again, I thought that I had a big fear that I would lose my mind. And I think that that's a really big misconception
Yeah.
that's placed
Yeah.
in society too. But it comes from people not respecting the medicine, not really doing it with reverence, intention, consciousness, or anything like this. So this is why yeah, I really would love to bring in a little bit of like for you, what was the actual dosage that you had when you were doing the microdoses? And I'm curious, what was the dose that you had when you took the bigger dose, and what were your stipulations on your journey of what you needed to be held in that kind of
Mhm.
Self.
Yeah, I think it's really important to just, highlight that it's not something to be taken lightly. You do need a support unit around you when you are going through that, because I can see it going two ways. It's really important that you have a good support network around you, because if you don't and you are dabbling with it, it can be quite dangerous. So do take care. Um, but yeah, my doses, I was told to follow my intuition.
Yeah.
So I did. So I was starting off with, like, I don't know, three, five little mushrooms and a cup of tea, 3 days on, 3 days off, 3 days on, 3 days off, like that. And then as it got on, like I said, well, it's not working enough. But when I look back now, it was. So I probably didn't have to do the large dose, but I think it was about, I think he said take 40. So it was something, but don't quote me on that, okay? But yeah, it was something like that. And yes, I did. I did. And I set it all nicely. I had the candles on. There was no children at home. Went out with the children for the day. So I had my own space. I had my own time to set intentions, to do it, to do it the way I wanted to do it, the way I felt safe doing it,
Yeah.
in my own space, in my home. I knew I was going to be okay. I wasn't afraid. I didn't need anyone there to facilitate me and look after me while I was under or going through any changes or anything like that. But I was happy to do it by myself. I wanted to. Um, but yes, it is important that you have a good network around you. And I have to say, I'm so lucky. I really believe, because now we were just put together kind of thing. It just happened. And I really believe everything happens for a reason. I really believe that I met him for a reason. And he is great with me. Like, he lets me, oh, I'm going to say he lets me do anything, because that's not what I mean. But he's really supportive in everything that I do. And I'm really grateful for that. And he was supportive in that too. I mean, he didn't come along on that journey. He just supported me on that journey every step of the way. And I couldn't be more grateful for him. So yeah, it's really important that you have somebody with you that's going to guide you through the process, or just walk you through it, with you.
Yeah, absolutely. It sounds like you didn't do microdoses because to me, when I think of, a couple mushrooms
Mhm,
uh in tea, I mean that could be, it depends on the size of the mushroom, right? So
mhm.
are these
Well,
microdoses
it's
where you could barely um experience the psychedelic effects, or were these like a mild psychedelic experience?
Yeah, it was very mild. You could hardly even feel it. I mean, if I would pay attention, I would maybe notice a little bit, but it you could function normally, like, and three little mushrooms and a cup of tea, you're just functioning normally. You're not, vibing extremely high or anything like that. It's just a normal little nice little mellow chill, like,
Yeah.
throughout the day for a couple of hours. But no, it wasn't anything until I got to a later date, and I took more. But
Yeah.
to begin with, it was just the microdosing, 3 days on, 3 days off, only a little bit in a cup of tea. I even had it on a slice of pizza before.
Yes, I love that. And for anyone
Yeah.
listening to this, like if you did want to really measure it out,
Mhm.
typically a microdose would be like zero point 0.1 of a gram. So whatever
Yeah.
zero point 0.1 of a gram is,
Mhm.
like that's like a traditional microdose.
Yeah.
And there's different ways to do it. Some people do the 3 days on and then 1 day off, but it sounds like
Yeah.
the other way around. There's
Yeah.
a wrong way, but I love that you used your intuition with that because that's what I love doing. I don't even think about the the amount that I'm actually taking. I think
Yeah.
about like what is it that my body is, and I like to do muscle testing actually, where it's like,
Right.
I clasp my ring finger, or sorry, not my ring finger, my index finger and my thumb finger together, and I link them with both hands and I pull them apart. And my yes is when it's still connected, my no is when it breaks apart. And so there's different ways that people can do muscle testing, but that's always like what I like to connect with. And then there's
Mhm.
different levels of experiences that I dive deep into because that's actually what I wanted to ask you about that too, because one of the things that you mentioned was this feeling of love. And
Oh, yeah,
I would
that was
love,
so amazing.
yeah, I would love for you to explain that because I'm thinking of, I just was dating this man that he was just more beginning in his spirituality. He was meditating, you know, was getting into the idea of law of attraction and things like this. But as you were talking about, it's not all like love and light, right? So
Mm,
you express this experience of love, but then you express this experience of darkness.
mm,
And I think that you can't have one without the other, and it's the real
mm,
integration of the two. And this man that I was dating, I'm referring to him because I just really saw he had never done any psychedelics, but he had experienced a panic attack actually when he had never experienced a panic attack before, but actually
mm,
meeting me brought up a lot for him and his nervous system
mm,
and all the creativity that he has as an actor and all these things. He wasn't fully online with his passion and his own inner compass because of this programming that I
mm.
clearly saw. And I was like, I just kept thinking, I'm like, man, let's just like, I'll just give you a little bit of mushrooms and it will be fine, you know? But
Yeah.
I'm curious because I thought about him when you were talking about how all the walls just went down. So I would love for you to just describe that experience of love and then also to describe us that experience of darkness.
Yeah, sure. I think, like you say, it's a very fine line because while the love was coming, well, I'm calling it love because that's how I felt. I just was gushing, over gushing to like, I remember messaging women in my life, aunties and mums you know, and women that I know. And I remember really like being intense, like telling them how much I loved them and telling them how much I was so proud of them. And it was all coming through me. But at the same time, all of that was coming out of me. It was very overwhelming,
Mhm.
extremely overwhelming, because I guess it was something that I had never experienced before. Um, so it was this wonderful, love, tingly, amazing feeling. But it was also so overwhelming, and I don't know where it was coming from. But of course, now I know where it was coming from. But yes, and going back to was there, kept me grounded, held me in that moment of so much love, yet so much confusion, if that makes sense. So yeah, I mean, if you're going to go into it, you need to know that there's some heavy, deep work that you need to go internally and do because you don't just come online and be this love and light being, you know, you come online and then you've got to deal with the truth. The veil has been lifted. You can see everything for what it is. And that is very overwhelming. I was lied to my whole life. Well, that's how I felt. I
Yeah.
felt I was lied to my whole life. And I just could not believe it. I mean, I was brought up Christian. I went to a Christian school, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. A lot of that stuff is, and I don't want to make it about that because it's not about that. But for 38 years, I thought I was going to go to hell.
Mhm.
So that was a big one. And when I did the mushrooms and the veil was lifted, oh my goodness, you know, whew, it was such a relief. So my life just changed drastically after that moment. And as much as I can say it was hard and it was confusing and you need a support network, I can also, with that structure, I can also say that it was the best thing I ever did. But you do need the help, you do need the structure, you do need the support and the stability. Don't go into it lightly. But yes, they do work wonders. And I cannot say enough how it changed my life. And yes, that feeling of the love vibration, I had never felt it before,
Mm,
ever. Yeah,
beautiful.
never, ever.
I'm glad you brought up the that you grew up Christian because
Mhm,
that was another thing with this man. He grew up Muslim and
mhm.
he had just recently decided to not be Muslim.
Okay.
And the way I personally see like all religion is it's all connected. It's all kind of the
Mhm.
same thing. It's just
Yeah.
there's been a patriarchal misconstruction of
Definitely.
programming around it
Hmm.
that has created a lot of control. That's on a baseline of how I see it, but I'm curious for you, how did it change your relationship with God or spirit or your faith?
Shines through me. I am God. I am source. I am, yeah. It's so amazing. No, but like you said previously, is like these medicines dull the mind, you know, and my mind is so whimsical. Like I love the magic and I love following the magic. And before, like I would think that that's, you can't do that. But oh my goodness, you know, just following that magic and just being myself and just being me. Like that all has come online. And now I'm getting to a place where I'm happy to share that with people. People need to see the authentic Sarah because this is what I'm here for. You know, this is this magic is just so special. Um, but yeah, no, definitely. I can't remember your question.
It was how has it changed your relationship with your faith?
Yes. Oh, to be honest with you, I was my grandmother, when my grandmother passed, she was like the matriarch of the family, very Christian, and um, nobody would ever question my grandmother. We all had a lot of respect for her. She was an amazing woman, and I wouldn't be the Sarah today if it weren't for her.
Mm,
So, I don't want to disrespect her in any way, talking about religion or anything like that. Um, but yeah, I mean, I never went to church or anything like that, but I did think for 38 years that I was going to go to hell and that I had sinned. And it's not like that at all, you know. And heaven and earth is right here on earth. Heaven and hell is right here on earth, you know. And it's what decision is what it's the state that you in internally, in your mind, in your body. Um, I think that I was like, oh my gosh, I remember messaging my grandfather and saying, I found heaven because it was here on earth. And it's just like there's so many of these stories that we can take and, pick apart. And it's what it means to you basically at the end of the day and how you can construct your own belief system in your mind.
mm.
But yes, so I have had to go deep into the whole Christian story and Jesus and Mary Magdalene and do all my own research. But that's the main thing. Do your research.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And that's what I mean when I refer to like organized religion or anything like this. Like I don't even know what the word is. You might know what the word is, but it's the word that like I believe in God, Mother Earth, Father Sky,
Yeah.
like cyclical living,
Mm.
sun, the moon, masculine, feminine, yin and
There's
yang.
so
Like
much to it, isn't there? Yeah.
I believe in all of it, you
I
know.
know,
Like I
me
even
too.
appreciate like in Muslim culture this the Ramadan and like the
Mm.
whole concept behind that. Like
Yeah.
there's so many aspects, deities, Hinduism, it's like all of
Yeah.
it.
Mhm.
So for me, it just really comes down to I'm learning deeper about how her story became his
Mhm.
story, right? And how it kind of misconstrued who Mary was, and it just goes into all these other ways of how the real like hardcore organized religion is, you know? Like I even have some
Mhm.
women coming to my retreat where we're all calling each other water witches, you know? And some of those women they go to church.
Yeah.
So it's not to say that there all of us are indifferent. We have different.
Well, I think the church is also growing and evolving.
Exactly. Yeah.
We all are.
Yeah,
So,
I really love in the States, you can be a member of the Native American Church.
oh,
So
that's
you can
amazing.
actually hold a legal amount of medicine for spiritual reasons.
Yeah, yeah, really good.
Yeah,
Really good.
yeah.
Yeah,
And
it's the way
that
forward.
really
It's
resonates.
happening.
Yeah, that really resonates with me because it goes by, I have indigenous roots with Choctaw and Chickasaw tribes back in the States.
Oh.
And I grew up with my mom who we would go to powwows and she had all these dream catchers and we always had really long hair. My mom had hair like half past her butt, like flowing towards her knees,
Oh.
and so did I. And she was like, this is our connection to spirit. Like we were very rooted in a lot of nature-based practices. However, my
Mm.
mom was also baptized by 32 different churches and
Wow.
different like phases of religions and things like this because
Yeah.
she was trying to put herself in a box. And so that's where for me, when I found plant medicine, it's something that I know that I wish that my mom could have found plant medicine and
Mm.
alternative things. One of the things I really desire to bring forth in my castle vision one day, where I purchase a castle in Europe and turn it to a retreat center, one of the things I really want to create is a holistic rehab and definitely want to bring in plant medicine, psilocybin, things even like kratom that replaces, pe weaning people off of opiates. There's so much in the plant medicine kingdom world that
Mm.
this is just why I'm so passionate about it because I got to really witness from my mother who took her life 15 years ago that what happens when we really try and put ourselves in a box, whether it's in
Mm.
society, jobs, our expression, what we do for living as a solo mom or like religion. Did I already say religion? Anything that we put ourselves
Mm.
in a box in,
Mm.
like you said, when the veil is lifted,
Yeah.
it has you really open up to this liberation inside of your soul that actually brings who you are online. And real off the cuff question, did you have your dreads before you did mushrooms?
No way. I was a completely different person. This you wouldn't recognize me.
I would love to see a before and after photo.
I had long blue black hair, really black makeup. Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh,
I
wow.
know. I know. Yeah. So completely different version of myself. No, definitely did not have the dreads. Wouldn't have even dreamt it.
That's awesome. And then now
So,
what about your kids? Like how do you feel about because obviously I don't know how old your kids are, but obviously when kids go into like their teenagers and stuff, like they will be potentially exposed to like recreational drug use and things like this. Like how's the conversation with your kids and psilocybin, and what are the ways that you see psilocybin fitting in with your kids' life?
okay, we're going to be serious here. We want to spread the word of the mushrooms and how well it works, don't we? So, right, I'm sharing. Um, my son's 21 and he's seen how much changed me and he's struggled with himself and being a bit depressed. I'm not going to say any names or anything. Yeah. Anyway, so when he turned 18, he come to me and he asked me if he could have some, and he did,
Mm,
and he was rebirthed. You know, we go back to these things of where does our trauma come from? And when he was a very big baby. He was stuck. He had a lot of doctors come in, and it was very traumatic. I nearly died. But yeah, so when he turned 18, I gave him some, and he was rebirthed out of an egg, an elephant egg, and it all comes back to where your trauma starts. And his trauma was birth.
mhm.
Um, and yeah, different child, different child. He's only done it once, changed his life as well. Um, but yeah, so I've been very open and honest with both of them. So 21, and then is 13. She knows. I've been honest with her, but all my medicines that I take, I don't take any pharmaceutical medication anymore. I detox all the time, as you know, the lymphatic system. So I have all my plant tinctures and I have all my plant medicines that I look after my body with. And then everybody in the house is naturally grown that way as well. I mean, detoxing with me, detoxes with me. So they all into the plant stuff. And then when they do get really poorly, I mean, I brought out the Lemsip the other day and he had to take paracetamol. And he said, Mum, am I going to be okay if I take paracetamol and drink a Lemsip? So then nobody wants to go anywhere near the pharmaceuticals. Um, but yeah, so I've been open and honest with them 100%. I'm open and honest about everything in my journey. Even when I'm going through something internally, I express it so that they know what I'm going through. So that if they ever come across something like that in their life, that they'll remember, this is what mum was talking about. I don't hide anything from them. I'm very open and I'm very honest with them about everything on my journey. So yeah.
That's
And
amazing.
they like I say, they see the change. They know I'm a different mum. So I mean, that's what more can a mum ask for? What more? I mean, they are my everything. And to begin with, I was a bit lost. So, I'm so proud of them. And I'm
Mm,
proud of me.
yeah, I am too. I'm just in so much awe. Thank you for being so vulnerable and open for sharing that.
Yeah.
I follow this woman who she speaks about psilocybin mushrooms for mamas and
Mhm,
even during pregnancy.
mhm.
That's so avant-garde, like
Yeah,
uh, advice, right, to people. But actually, she works with all these different researchers and how it really, really supports the growth
yeah.
of the mental
Oh,
connection
yeah.
neural net,
Yes,
even
because you
within
just,
the womb. Yeah.
yeah.
And my first, well, it's the only one that I've been to so far. I went to
Mhm,
an ayahuasca ceremony. It was like a week-long retreat, and then we had like 1 month pre-integration, then we had two pre-gration, pre-calls, and then we had 2 months of integration. So it was a very held full container.
mhm,
And we did 3 sessions of ayahuasca, and this group came in. They played their music. They were from Brazil. It was a Santo Daime tradition. Well, a little bit fusion Santo Daime, not traditional Santo Daime, but they sang the Portuguese hymns. And they had this woman. I think she was like 21 years old, and all of them were a family. They grew up on ayahuasca,
mhm.
the womb to where they were. Like it's just a part
Yeah,
of their journey.
yeah.
I remember just looking at this woman who is 21 years old, and she had just the purest eyes I have ever seen.
Wow.
And I just was in awe because I was like, wow, what difference would our world be like if, you know, yeah, even for me, if or when I have kids, I don't want to do a birth at a hospital. I want it to be as natural
Mhm,
as possible. And now I'm like, I
mhm,
want to be on psilocybin mushrooms,
mhm.
like I want to be able to really have the fullest holistic type of experience with my kids because I saw, and not just with them, but other people that I've seen just to have plant medicine as a part of like how they bring their families into the world or how they integrate it with their families. And it's just, there's nothing actually to be afraid of. It is what
No,
is actually to fear is the fact that all these lies that we've been told, like
absolutely.
it's like the big. And that's what I think is the quote unquote scary part, right? Because it's the what we have been told, and then you do go through this big ego death because it's this complete paradigm shift.
Mhm.
But then you really realize the reason why I was asking about the faith aspect, because for me, what I really realized is that we are actually so held. And
I'm
for me as
probably,
a,
sorry, carry on. No, carry on.
for me
Sorry.
as an entrepreneur, I feel that you do not go on this realm of entrepreneurship. I haven't worked for somebody since, God, 8 years now, almost
Mhm.
9 years.
Yeah.
And it takes faith and courageous passion and tenacity to really follow your dreams and follow your passions. And it requires this level of trust in yourself, but also
Yeah.
just trust that you're really deeply, deeply held. And so
Mhm.
my faith, my connection with spirit, and connection to plant medicines and just this earth, knowing that it all comes from the earth and the plant kingdom, it has been
Mhm.
the most beautiful way for me to really be held in this space because
Mhm.
no matter what's going on or who's president or whatever is going on, it's like I
I
just
have no idea.
really worried about it. I'm like,
Yeah.
I am so in trust of
Yeah. 100%.
the divine with me, as long as
Yeah.
I'm connected to my intuition and I can
Mm.
So I'm in a business model where like we're able to actually get paid to build community, so we're
Mm.
building this ecosystem of wealth, of health, of community, of connection.
Mm.
And I got that. Like, there's nothing else that I actually really need. So I'm fully content knowing that we're held in this, yeah, in this divinity. So there's really nothing actually to be afraid in walking.
No. Yeah, 100%. But yeah, while you were saying that, what was coming up, because you were asking about how it, it changed my relationship with religion, etc. I, there's a funny one for you. I've been told I sound very religious, but it's not religious. I'm spiritual. I have, I am more spiritual now than I was ever religious because I feel it in my body. And when you feel your truth, that it's your truth and you cannot deny it. So it's completely different, you know, it's completely different. And it's changed my life immensely, way more than religion ever did. Like my spirituality and my spiritual practices have worked way better than the medicine, you know? Um, so yeah, I would definitely say the mushrooms, the spiritual practice, being spiritual, knowing myself, knowing who I am as, yeah, yeah, couldn't ask for anything more, really.
Yes. Worked way
Yeah.
better than the pharmaceutical medicine that you're
Yeah.
referring to.
Yes, 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 yes. Pharmaceutical.
Medication.
Yes, the pharmaceutical stuff.
I use the word it's so funny, right? It's like plant medicine, pharmaceutical medicine. Just want to make
Yeah.
that distinction for people.
Yes, yes, yes.
Well, thank you
But
so
yeah.
much for sharing this, love. Like, I know that this is going to be so inspiring for anyone
Mm.
who is curious about exploring. And, I just want to drop to that. I really love the documentary called Fantastic Fungi from Paul Stamets.
Yeah.
And I highly recommend watching that for anyone listening. And for any last things for our listeners, is there anything else that you would like to share?
Um, I know this is going to sound silly, but just follow your intuition. Only you know what's best for you. Follow that.
Yeah,
That's where the magic is, for
yeah,
sure.
beautiful. And if people want to connect with you, where's the best way that they can connect with you?
They can connect with me on my social media. I've got my page, Sarah Jane Thomas on Facebook. Yeah, just add me on there and I'll be happy to answer any more questions that you may have. Just tell me that Saber sent you because I do get a lot of messages sometimes. So yeah, just mention your name and I'll be straight on there and give you all the advice I can.
We'll drop your link to your Facebook in the show notes.
Perfect.
Thank you so much, Sarah, and thank you for listening to all of our listeners. If this really resonated with you, please share it with a beautiful soul sister, or even if it's another man in your life that you know could really benefit just from this knowledge and this awareness, because it clearly has changed, this woman's life and her partner's life. So make sure to share if it resonates. Let us know. You can tag me on Instagram at the Rich Witch Prophet, and you can send me a message and let me know what resonated with you. My link for that is in the show notes as well. And if you rate the show, it really helps just spread this message farther and wider, rating and reviewing it. Thank you so much, everybody, and we'll see you next time. Okay, I trust that this message landed for you, Empress, Queen, Goddess, Witch, at the right time, in the right place, and in the right way. Again, make sure you leave a review, 5 stars if it feels resonant for you. And I'm really looking forward to hearing from you what resonated with you in this episode over on Instagram at the Rich Witch Prophet. You can check out the free masterclass Liquid Legacy to learn how women all around the globe are getting paid to be in their unique, authentic magnetism in collaboration with water witches around the world. I'll see you soon.